Have you ever really thought about how two people can see the exact same event, but walk away telling completely different stories?
Oh, absolutely. It's like our own minds just filter things differently.
Yeah, exactly. And that whole idea, that gap between perspectives, that's what we're really diving into today.
We are. We're heading back to 8th century Japan, specifically into Akira Kurosawa's amazing 1950 film, Rashomon.
Rashomon. Just the name sounds mysterious, doesn't it?
Yes.
The film starts us off at this ruined gate, the Rashomon Gate in Kyoto. It's pouring rain, and you've got a woodcutter, a priest, and a commoner just sheltering there.
Right, and they start talking about this really disturbing incident they've heard about, or in some cases, witnessed parts of.
It's this story about a samurai who's been murdered and his wife assaulted. But the thing is, there are 4 completely different versions of what happened.
Exactly. 4 conflicting testimonies given during some kind of official hearing. And that's our mission today, really, to try and understand why. Why are these stories so drastically different?
And what does Kurosawa's film ultimately say about, truth? And maybe human nature itself?
Precisely. It's a deep one.
Okay, so let's set that scene at the gate a bit more. The woodcutter and the priest, they seem really shaken up.
They are. They've been involved in finding the body or testifying. And the commoner is sort of pushing them like, come on, tell me what happened. What's so upsetting?
He's curious, maybe a bit cynical too.
Yeah, definitely cynical. He represents a kind of everyday pragmatism, maybe.
Yeah.
But the woodcutter and priest, they're grappling with something profound they've encountered.
Right, it's like the gate is this sort of limbo where they're processing it all. It really frames the whole fractured narrative we're about to hear.
Perfectly put, it sets the stage for these broken pieces of a story.
Okay, so the first version of the core event we hear comes from Tajamaro. He's the bandit, right? The notorious criminal.
俺はあの日雨茂を走らせているうちにたまらなく喉が渇いた。大阪を越えるあたりで岩清水を飲んだ。
Tajamaru's story is, well, it's all about him, really. He paints himself as this bold, almost irresistible outlaw. He says he saw the wife, was instantly smitten, and basically concocted a story about finding ancient swords to lure the samurai away from her.
Okay, so deception right from the start.
Absolutely. He admits he tied up the samurai and then assaulted the wife. But here's the twist in his telling.
Yeah.
He claims the wife wasn't just a passive victim afterwards. He says she demanded that he and her husband fight a duel for her.
A duel? Seriously? So he makes it sound like some kind of, twisted competition that he won fair and square.
Exactly. It's all about bolstering his ego, isn't it? He's not just a rapist and murderer in his version. He's this powerful figure who fought for a prize and won. It's about appearing strong, maybe even sort of gallantly brutal, if that makes sense.
It does, in a disturbing way. It completely reframes his actions to fit his self-image.
That's the key. Self-image. Now, contrast that with the wife's testimony.
Right, her story. How different is it?
Oh, profoundly different. Her account is drenched in shame, despair, emotional devastation. She says after Tajamaru left, she managed to untie her husband. She looked to him, maybe hoping for something, anything.
Comfort, forgiveness.
Perhaps. But instead, she says she saw only this cold, hard look of contempt in his eyes. Utter loathing.
Wow, that must have been crushing.
Exactly. She says that look just broke her. In her despair, feeling utterly disgraced, she begged him to kill her to restore her honor. And then her memory gets fuzzy. She claims she fainted, overcome by it all, and when she came to, her husband was dead beside her, with her dagger in his chest.
So in her version, she's this double victim.
Yeah.
Victim of the assault, victim of her husband's rejection, victim of the unbearable social shame.
It emphasizes her helplessness, her disgrace. You have to remember the context, the immense pressure on women regarding honor and chastity in that society.
So her story could be seen as what? A plea for understanding. Maybe even hinting she snapped. She doesn't fully recall or admit it.
It could be interpreted in several ways. Definitely a plea for pity, perhaps, or maybe a genuine account of trauma leading to a breakdown. Her narrative focuses entirely on her suffering and shame.
Okay. Then there's the third version. This one's really unique. It comes from the dead samurai himself, speaking through a medium.
Yeah, Kurosawa's use of the medium is fascinating. It adds another layer of potential distortion, doesn't it?
It does.
死んだ男がどうして話をしたという。
巫女の口を借りて話した。
嘘だ。この男の話も嘘だ。
しかし、死んだ人間まで嘘を言うとは考えられない。
なぜだよ、坊さん。
人間がそんなに罪深いもんだと考えたくない。
So what's his story from the other side?
Well, the samurai's version completely flips the script again, especially regarding his wife.
How so?
He claims that after the assault, Tajamaru actually tried to console the wife, even offered to take her away with him, perhaps marry her.
Okay.
And according to the samurai, to his horror, his wife agreed to go with the bandit, but she supposedly insisted Tajamaru kill him first.
She said what? So in his story, she's not the despairing victim at all.
Not at all. He paints her as cold, manipulative, treacherous even.
あの人を殺してください。私もあの人は生きていてはあなたとは一緒に行かれません。あの人を殺してください。
この言葉は嵐のように今でも遠い闇の底へ真っ逆さまに私を吹き落とそうとする。これほど憎むべき言葉、これほど呪われた言葉が一度でも人間の口を出たことがあろう。
He claims Tajamaru was so disgusted by her demand that he just let the samurai go and left her there.
殺すか、それとも助けてやるか。返事はうなずけばいい。私はこの言葉だけでも。
And this samurai, how does he say he died?
He says he was left alone, utterly humiliated by his wife's betrayal, a betrayal of him, of their marriage, of the samurai code itself, and overwhelmed by this dishonor, he took his own life with the dagger. Honorable suicide, seppuku.
My goodness. So his version preserves his own honor, blames the wife entirely, and erases Tajamaru's victory duel and the wife's despair narrative.
Exactly. It fits perfectly with the samurai ethos where honor, especially masculine honor, is paramount. His story allows him to die, quote-unquote, honorably as a victim of female treachery, rather than, say, losing a fight to a bandit or being killed in a less dignified way.
Okay, wow. 3 stories, all fundamentally incompatible. But there's a fourth, isn't there? The woodcutter. He initially just said he found the body.
Right. He lied at first, but later, maybe troubled by his conscience or perhaps pressured by the commoner at the gate, he confesses he saw much more.
And what did he see? What's his real story?
His account is, well, it's much less dramatic, much more pathetic, frankly.
Pathetic how?
He confirms Tajamaru did try to persuade the wife, maybe offered marriage after the assault, but the wife, instead of being despairing or treacherous, apparently just unleashed this torrent of scorn on both men.
Scorn.
Yeah, mocking their cowardice, their incompetence, calling them both weaklings. According to the woodcutter, her contempt is what finally goaded them into fighting.
So they did fight. But it wasn't the honorable duel Tajamaru described.
Not even close. The woodcutter depicts it as this clumsy, awkward, fearful struggle. Both men are terrified, slipping, swinging wildly. It's almost comical in its lack of heroism.
And the outcome.
Tajamaru eventually, almost accidentally it seems, manages to kill the samurai and the wife. She just runs off during the chaos.
So this version strips away all the ego, the honor, the high drama. It shows them as just flawed, frightened human beings.
Exactly. It feels, in some ways, the most depressingly realistic. Cowardice, anger, confusion, a messy, undignified end.
Wait. The woodcutter lied initially, and wasn't there something about the dagger?
Ah, yes. That's crucial. There's a very strong implication, though maybe not stated outright in his final testimony, that the valuable dagger, the wife's dagger that features in her and the samurai's stories, was missing when the woodcutter reported finding the body.
Meaning he probably stole it.
てめえが盗まねえって誰が盗んだどうやら図星らしいな盗のくせに盗と呼ばれやそれこそてめえが当てているんだ
That's the strong suggestion. Which means even his truthful account might be tailored to omit his own crime. His reliability is questionable too. He has his own self-interest.
So even the supposedly most objective witness is compromised.
Precisely. And that leaves us swirling in ambiguity.
Which brings us squarely to this idea of the Rashomon effect. Can you unpack that term a bit more? How does the film define it for us?
Well, the film is the definition, essentially. The Rashomon effect is the term we now use to describe exactly this situation. Multiple, conflicting, often self-serving accounts of the same event from different eyewitnesses.
Right.
Rashomon just perfectly illustrates how our memories, our perceptions, they aren't simple recordings. They're filtered through our ego, our guilt, our shame, our desire to look good, or maybe just less bad.
It really does put a spotlight on those darker, or maybe just more self-interested parts of human nature, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. Selfishness, pride, the need to justify ourselves, even to ourselves. The film suggests that objective truth can be incredibly hard to pin down, maybe even impossible sometimes.
And it doesn't give us the answer. Kurosawa just lays out the contradictions.
Exactly. There's no final scene saying, okay, this is what really happened. The power lies in the uncertainty, in forcing us, the viewers, to confront that subjectivity.
Which has huge implications for, well, everything. Law, history, even just understanding disagreements in our own lives.
Definitely. Think about courtroom trials, conflicting witness statements, historical accounts written by the victors. The Rashomon effect is everywhere once you start looking for it.